A blood moon occurs during a total lunar eclipse, when Earth passes directly between the Sun and the Moon. During this alignment, Earth's atmosphere scatters sunlight, allowing only longer wavelengths of red and orange light to reach the Moon's surface. This gives the Moon its distinctive reddish hue, resembling blood. Scientifically, they are a striking example of atmospheric refraction and celestial mechanics at work. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. "Do you see all these things?" he asked. "I tell you the truth, not one stone here will be left on another, every one will be thrown down." Matthew 24 verses 1-8, NIV. See also Luke 21 verses 5-6. In his well-known prophecy about the end of the age, recorded in Matthew and Luke, Jesus predicted the destruction of the temple and Jerusalem, which came to pass 40 years after his death and resurrection. Because the disciples, like most Jews of their day, especially the Essenes and Pharisees, expected a Messiah who would restore national Israel, establish an earthly kingdom, and replace the existing temple with a new one, as described in Ezekiel chapters 40-47, they were eager to know when this would happen. They asked, "When will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Matthew 24 verse 3, NIV. A blood moon tetrad occurs when there are 4 consecutive total lunar eclipses, each coinciding with Israel's high holy days. The significance of blood moon tetrads lies not merely in the occurrence of eclipses, but in the fact that all 4 align with Israel's feast days, a rare and notable pattern in history. There were no blood moon tetrads at the time of the crucifixion, but a solar eclipse would have been more significant in darkening the sky, as it occurs when the moon passes directly between the Earth and the Sun, temporarily blocking sunlight. Unlike a lunar eclipse, which happens during a full moon and primarily affects the moon's appearance, a solar eclipse could have created the dramatic darkness described in the Gospels. However, because Passover always falls during a full moon, a solar eclipse was not astronomically possible at that time, making the event either a supernatural occurrence or due to other atmospheric phenomena. With the sun going dark and clouds likely adding to the dimming of the sky in the late afternoon, this could have brought the priests to the point of sunset on the Sabbath, leaving them without enough light to complete the sin sacrifice. On that day, however, Jesus, the perfect sacrifice, became the replacement for the animals traditionally offered. This marked the transition to Jesus as our eternal mediator, now seated at the right hand of God, fulfilling the ultimate atonement for sin. The darkness during the crucifixion of Jesus, as described in the Gospels, is a remarkable event. The Bible states that from noon until 3 p.m., darkness fell over the land, Matthew 27 verse 45, Mark 15 verse 33, Luke 23 verses 44-45. Several theories have been proposed to explain this phenomenon. Some suggest it could have been a solar eclipse, where the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, blocking sunlight. However, a solar eclipse would not be possible during the crucifixion because it occurred during Passover, which is always held during a full moon. A solar eclipse can only happen during a new moon. Another possibility is that an unusually thick cloud cover or storm could have caused the sky to darken. This would align with natural atmospheric phenomena, particularly if accompanied by other signs of divine significance. Some speculate that volcanic activity, such as ash clouds, or other environmental events could have temporarily obscured the sunlight. While there's no direct historical record of a volcanic eruption at that time, such phenomena could account for widespread darkness. In 162 to 163 AD, a rare astronomical phenomenon occurred, for total lunar eclipses, known as a blood moon tetrad, coincided with 2 of the most significant Jewish feast days, Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles. These eclipses are noteworthy not only for their rarity but also for their timing, aligning with a period of profound historical and spiritual significance for both Jews and Christians. During this period, the Roman Empire unleashed one of its most severe waves of persecution against Jews and Christians. The violence and oppression created an atmosphere of immense suffering and fear, testing the resilience of faith communities. Adding to the turmoil, the Antonine Plague, which struck in 165 AD and persisted for over a decade, devastated the Roman Empire. Believed to be either smallpox or measles, the plague killed an estimated 8 million people, roughly a third of the empire's population. This catastrophic loss of life compounded the challenges faced by those already enduring religious persecution, leaving both communities and the empire weakened and demoralized. The coincidence of these total lunar eclipses with such events has sparked interest among scholars and theologians, particularly in light of biblical passages that link celestial signs with divine judgment or significant shifts in history, e.g., Joel 2 verse 31 and Acts 2 verse 20. For many, the alignment of these eclipses with widespread persecution and a devastating plague serves as a poignant reminder of the trials endured during this turbulent era. Whether viewed as a divine signal or an astronomical coincidence, the blood moon tetrad of 162 to 163 AD remains a compelling historical and celestial marker of a dark chapter in human history. In 795 to 796 AD, for total lunar eclipses, forming a blood moon tetrad, occurred during the Jewish holidays of Passover and Yom Kippur. This rare celestial event coincided with a pivotal period in European history as King Charlemagne, ruler of the Holy Roman Empire, established a buffer zone between France and Spain. This defensive measure, known as the Spanish March, was instrumental in halting centuries of incursions by Arab forces into Western Europe. The creation of this demilitarized zone marked a significant turning point in the balance of power between Christian and Islamic territories. Charlemagne's efforts to fortify the border not only safeguarded the Frankish kingdom but also paved the way for a period of relative stability in Western Europe. His military campaigns and the establishment of the Spanish March effectively created a protective barrier, limiting further invasions and preserving the cultural and political development of the region. For the Jewish people, the timing of the eclipses during their most sacred feasts, Passover, commemorating liberation from slavery, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, may have carried symbolic significance. These celestial events often prompted reflection on divine providence and the unfolding of historical events in light of religious beliefs. The alignment of these lunar eclipses with the geopolitical and spiritual milestones of 795 to 796 AD underscores the interplay of historical developments and celestial phenomena, sparking discussions about their deeper meanings. Whether interpreted as signs of divine intervention or natural occurrences, the blood moon tetrad of this period is remembered as an extraordinary backdrop to a transformative era in world history. In 842 to 843 AD, a remarkable celestial event occurred, for total lunar eclipses, known as a blood moon tetrad, coincided with the Jewish holidays of Passover and Yom Kippur. These sacred observances, marking themes of liberation and atonement, were overshadowed by a turbulent period in European history, as significant religious and political upheaval unfolded. Shortly after these eclipses, the Vatican Church in Rome was attacked and looted during an Islamic invasion originating from Africa. This raid was part of the larger incursions by Muslim forces into southern Europe, which had begun centuries earlier and continued to shape the geopolitical and cultural landscape of the region. The attack on Rome represented a direct challenge to the spiritual and political authority of the Church, which was at the heart of Christendom. The looting of the Vatican left a profound impact on the Christian world, symbolizing not just a material loss but also a spiritual affront to the center of Catholic faith. This event underscored the ongoing struggle between Islamic and Christian forces for control over key territories in Europe and the Mediterranean. The timing of the blood moon tetrad during this period may have been viewed by some as a celestial warning or sign of divine judgment. Historically, such eclipses were often interpreted as omens, reflecting the anxieties and tensions of the times. For those living through these invasions and witnessing the desecration of sacred sites, the alignment of these cosmic events with the turmoil on Earth likely reinforced their sense of spiritual and historical significance. The blood moon tetrad of 842 to 843 AD remains a compelling marker in history, coinciding with one of the many critical confrontations between civilizations that shaped the destiny of Europe and the Mediterranean world. This period highlights the interplay between celestial events, human conflict, and the enduring impact of historical moments on religious and cultural identity. In 860 to 861 AD, a rare blood moon tetrad occurred, with 4 total lunar eclipses aligning with the Jewish holidays of Passover and Yom Kippur. This celestial phenomenon coincided with a critical turning point in European and Middle Eastern history, the Byzantine Empire's decisive victory over Arab armies at the Battle of Lalakean in 863 AD. This battle, fought in what is now modern-day Turkey, marked a significant moment in the Byzantine-Arab conflict. The Byzantines, under Emperor Michael III and his generals, decisively defeated the invading Arab forces, halting their advances into Eastern Europe. The victory at Lalakean not only secured the Byzantine Empire's eastern front but also marked the beginning of a shift in the balance of power in the region, ensuring the preservation of Christian strongholds in Eastern Europe. The timing of these lunar eclipses with such a pivotal military success may have been interpreted as a sign of divine favor, particularly by those who saw celestial events as omens of victory or judgment. For the Byzantine Empire, this triumph symbolized resilience and the defense of their cultural and religious identity against external threats. The blood moon tetrad serves as a fascinating historical marker, aligning with one of the key moments that shaped the course of Eastern European history. In 1493 to 1494, 4 total lunar eclipses, known as a blood moon tetrad, occurred during the Jewish holidays of Passover and the Feast of Trumpets. These celestial events followed closely on the heels of one of the most devastating moments in Jewish history, the expulsion of Jews from Spain under the orders of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella in 1492. Spain, which had served as a significant Jewish homeland since around 200 AD, was deeply influenced by Jewish culture, scholarship, and contributions. The interconnected histories of Spain and its Jewish population are inseparable, shaping both profoundly over centuries. However, the issuance of the Alhambra Decree forced the entire Jewish community, an estimated 200,000 people, to leave the country. On July 30, 1492, this expulsion was enacted, resulting in untold suffering. Tens of thousands of refugees perished while seeking safe havens, while others fell victim to treachery, with ship captains exploiting or murdering them in search of wealth. Christopher Columbus, writing in his diary, noted the connection between this tragic event and his own voyage. In the same month in which their majesties issued the edict that all Jews should be driven out of the kingdom and its territories, they gave me the order to undertake my expedition of discovery to the Indies. Columbus's voyage, which coincided with the Jewish expulsion, led to the discovery of the Americas, a development of profound significance for Jewish history. Over time, the United States became a refuge for millions of Jews, now home to one of the largest Jewish populations outside of Israel. This echoes the sentiment expressed in the Book of Esther, where Mordecai tells Esther, "Help will come in another way." For many, America became that other way, offering safety and a new beginning. The connection between these events, celestial signs, the expulsion of the Jews, and the discovery of the Americas, has been interpreted by some as a divine act of providence. They see America's rise as a safe haven and its role in protecting Israel as part of a larger purpose. Yet this raises the pressing question: how long will America continue to uphold its legacy of safeguarding the Jewish people and supporting Israel in our own time? In 1949 to 1950, a series of 4 total lunar eclipses, known as a blood moon tetrad, occurred during the Jewish holidays of Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles. This celestial event coincided with Israel's War of Independence, a defining moment in history as the newly re-established nation solidified its sovereignty after 2,000 years. Although Israel declared its independence on May 14, 1948, this historic proclamation was followed by a period of transitional governance. The first permanent government took office on January 25, 1949, linking the blood moon tetrad to the establishment of Israel's formal leadership while still acknowledging 1948 as the birth year of the modern state. Within 24 hours of declaring independence, Israel faced an invasion by the combined armies of Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, forcing the nation to defend its reclaimed homeland. The ensuing War of Independence lasted approximately 15 months, during which the fledgling Israel Defense Forces, IDF, though outnumbered and poorly equipped, successfully repelled the attackers. The conflict claimed over 6,000 Israeli lives, nearly 1% of the country's Jewish population at the time. In early 1949, under the auspices of the United Nations, Israel engaged in direct negotiations with the invading countries, except Iraq, which refused to participate, resulting in armistice agreements that established the post-war boundaries. These agreements delineated the following: the coastal plain, Galilee, and the entire Negev were under Israeli sovereignty. Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, came under Jordanian rule. The Gaza Strip was placed under Egyptian administration. The city of Jerusalem was divided, with Israel controlling the western sector and Jordan holding the eastern sector, including the Old City. This period marked the beginning of Israel's journey as an independent nation amidst profound challenges, laying the groundwork for its future as a homeland for the Jewish people. In 1967 to 1968, a blood moon tetrad occurred, with 4 total lunar eclipses falling on the Jewish holidays of Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles. This celestial event coincided with the pivotal Six-Day War, during which Israel reclaimed Jerusalem and significantly altered the geopolitical landscape of the region. On June 5, 1967, as neighboring countries prepared to annihilate the Jewish state, Israel exercised its right to self-defense by launching a preemptive strike against Egypt in the south. This decisive action was followed by a counteroffensive against Jordan in the east and a swift routing of Syrian forces entrenched on the Golan Heights in the north. After just 6 days of intense fighting, the ceasefire lines established in 1949 were replaced by new borders. Israel gained control of Judea, Samaria, Gaza, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. The results were transformative. Northern villages were liberated from 19 years of relentless Syrian shelling. The strategic Straits of Tiran were secured for Israeli and international shipping. Jerusalem, previously divided between Israeli and Jordanian rule, was reunified under Israel's authority, restoring access to its sacred sites. The Six-Day War marked a monumental turning point in Israel's history, with the reunification of Jerusalem standing as one of its most enduring legacies. Since 1967, there has been one notable series of total lunar eclipses, known as a blood moon tetrad, that coincided with significant events in Israel's history. 2014 to 2015 blood moon tetrad. Dates of eclipses: April 15, 2014, Passover. October 8, 2014, Feast of Tabernacles. April 4, 2015, Passover. September 28, 2015, Feast of Tabernacles. This tetrad garnered significant attention due to its alignment with Jewish feast days. While some commentators speculated about potential prophetic implications, no specific major events directly linked to these eclipses occurred during this period. It's worth noting that tetrads aligning with Jewish holidays are relatively rare, having occurred only a few times in the past 5 centuries. Regarding solar eclipses, there have been several since 1967, however, none have coincided with Jewish feast days in a manner that aligns with significant historical events in Israel. The last total solar eclipse visible from Jerusalem occurred on August 20, 933, and the next is not expected until August 8, 2241. In summary, apart from the 1967 to 1968 tetrad previously discussed, the 2014 to 2015 blood moon tetrad is the only other instance since 1967 where a series of total lunar eclipses coincided with Jewish feast days. However, this later tetrad did not correspond with any significant events in Israel's history.